everyone. In our last video, we implemented a free shipping threshold notice in the Dawn theme slide out cart. Today, I thought we could enhance the customer experience further with a progress bar at the top of the store indicating the proximity to the free shipping threshold. Check the description below for a link to the code on GitHub, or if you prefer to follow along in blog form, there's a link to my website as well. So if I add this product to cart, the slide out cart should pop out and it will tell us how far we are from free shipping here. But you'll notice here, we have this progress bar, and if I change the quantity, you're going to see it update here as well as here until I hit free shipping, in which case it will tell me I have done so. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we actually need to do is to change something we did in our previous code to make our threshold available globally. To get the link to the previous code, it's the same GitHub link in the description, and you can see it in the same repo there. But the first thing I'm going to do is navigate to the code base, and I'm going to open up the config folder and open up the settings data and the settings schema. Now in the settings schema JSON, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the file, and I'm going to put in this block here. This is essentially just declaring a text input in the theme settings in the customizer to be able to add our threshold here, whereas it was previously, it's in the schema of the free shipping countdown section, which looks like this. This is previously where we were getting it. But we're going to swap this out, and we're going to get it from the global settings variable now. We do need to change it also in the settings data JSON file, and we can do that. We need to change it in two places, so you can find where any of the cart settings are. So I added it right after this cart drawer collection, and you'll see right here. And this is under the, I believe it's called current object. Yep, current. But then we also need to add it to the other place, which is down at the bottom. Same thing right under that. We can set it to an empty string by default. And this is, I believe, the presets object. Excellent. So now if we go to the customizer, and if we go to the theme settings here, scroll down to cart, we should be able to see right here, free shipping threshold. And the reason that we're switching this out is because now we will have access to this threshold in any file within the theme. Now that we have access to this global variable, what we're going to do is get started with another web component. Most themes have an announcement bar or something similarly named in their header right by the navigation stuff. So what we're going to do is, instead of display this generic text, we're going to add our web component to display within the announcement bar section. So in the code, I can open up the announcement bar.liquid. And just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to include all of my JavaScript within this file. So we'll just keep it to this one file today. Now within this file, we can see here's the liquid code. It looks like it's looping through the blocks that are defined here in the schema. But what we're going to do is come under the liquid code and above the schema, and we're going to create a script tag, and this is where all of our JavaScript and our web component is going to live. Of course, you can also create a JavaScript file separately and include it there. But the first thing I'm going to do is declare my web component, and it's going to be called free shipping progress bar, and it extends HTML element. And then I have a constructor, and within that constructor, I'm going to call super. And then I'm also going to add const shadow equals this dot attach shadow. Oops. Mode open. If you're wondering what this line is here, it's essentially it creates and returns the shadow root or the hidden separated DOM attached to the element where our web component is going to live inside. Because remember, the beauty of the web component is that in the shadow DOM is it keeps it all of our CSS, our JavaScript, and our HTML kind of safe and wrapped in this shadow DOM element to keep it from interfering with the theme at all. So it makes it your code very modular, and you can reuse it much easier in lots of different themes. If this was going to be built just in a one-off custom theme, you don't think there would be much use for it elsewhere, then you probably don't need to bother with a web component. But I've really enjoyed learning the technology, and we did the last component in the web component, so I figured we may as well keep this up for this video as well. Now we're going to be doing quite a bit here in the constructor. The next thing we're going to do is define a style element, and this is going to be the CSS that's applied to our shadow DOM element here, our web component. So I'm going to create a variable called style, and rather than you watch me type out a bunch of styles, I'm just going to copy and paste them. And I believe, yeah, okay. So you can see here, we're just adding these styles to this element. Furthermore, we are going to do a few more things. So we are going to still, in the constructor, create, we're going to first append to the shadow these styles, like so. And then we are going to create a container div and we are going to give it a classless name of progress bar container, and then we are going to create another div oops. We're going to add a class list to this. This naming convention is pretty poor here. I was trying to rework it, some different styles, and I forgot to fix the naming convention. So feel free to change this progress bar container and container names as you please. Next, we're going to create the actual progress bar. Progress bar dot. We're going to give it an ID. And then we are going to give it a class name as well. And then we are going to have the text, which displays above the progress bar itself. Whoops. And we're going to also give it a class name. Excellent. We're almost done. Now what we just need to do is basically put our progress text and progress bars into the container. So I'm going to do progress bar container append child progress text. So I want the text to show, oops, it shouldn't be a string. I want the text to show above the progress bar. Oops. There we go. Awesome. And then, oops, we are going to add the progress bar container to the actual container. Like I said, not the best naming conventions, but feel free to change. Okay, so we're almost done with this constructor. I know it's a lot in the constructor, but lastly, we're just going to append the container to the shadow DOM element. All right, perfect. So yeah, we have a large constructor here. And now the next thing I want to do is actually create our lifecycle method, and it is called connected callback. If you remember, connected callback is called when the web component is instantiated into the Liquid code. This is fired. So what I like to do here is set up our event listeners we're going to use, and also we need to handle the use case when the first time that this is loaded, we create the progress bar. But every time after the initial load, we're actually going to call this function based on an event that is going to be created in our free shipping countdown section that we created in our last tutorial. The reason we're going to do that is because we're already doing the work there to calculate the proximity to free shipping, and so we're going to try to build on that and just rely on events there. So what I'm going to do in this lifecycle method is create a threshold variable, and what we're going to do is we're going to check for the globally available variable called free shipping countdown. This is, remember, what we created in the settings schema and the settings data. And if that doesn't exist, then I'm going to set it to 0. And then I'm going to call the update progress bar that doesn't exist yet, but we will create it. And I'm going to pass in a few variables, and this will make more sense once we create that function. But we're also going to call another function that is going to init our event listeners. And then lastly, we'll call our render method, which is where we will return the rest of the class. So now that this is created, right above it, I'm going to create this other function that we're calling init event listeners. And it takes no arguments, and all we're going to do is we're going to create an event listener. And this is going to be custom, and I just called it cart updated results. Not the best name, but it gets the job done. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the cart total from the event.detail cart total. So we're going to pass this cart total, like I said. We're going to do things a little differently on the first time it loads, but every time after that, we're relying on the event that we're going to create in our other section to get the cart total. It looks like I misspelled something here. There we go. And if that doesn't exist, we always want to set it to 0, which is our default. Then we're going to get the threshold, and this will be available through the global liquid variable. All right. And we'll also set that to 0 if it doesn't exist. All right, and then we are going to call this update progress bar function with our cart total and our threshold. So we're calling this update progress bar twice, which, as you can guess, is going to contain the logic for actually displaying the progress bar to the users and showing the proximity to free shipping. So we're going to create that method now. I'm going to call update progress bar, and it's going to take a couple variables. The first variable that it's going to take is the cart total. The next is the threshold. And then the last is this initial variable, which is optional. It's going to default to false unless otherwise specified. And this is how we are going to determine whether this is being called on load or whether it's being called by the event emitter, because we want to do slightly different, we want to handle it slightly different when it is called from the event. So what we're going to do is create a variable called progress bar, and it is going to be available because it's already been created in our constructor, so we can reference it by the shadow root get element by ID. And then same, but for the progress text, And now if there is no threshold, meaning threshold is set to 0, then we want to return, because this is how we're determining if there is a free shipping threshold even set. If not, we want to remove these shadow DOM elements because we are not going to use them. All right, perfect. Now, what we can do is if it is initial, meaning on load, then what we want to do is actually fetch the cart. So we're going to store it in a variable called cart total, which is the same name as the argument, but we're going to reassign it, and we're going to fetch the Shopify cart. So we need to create this function. Or if you remember, we created this exact function in the free shipping container, and it is right here, get Shopify cart. So I'm just going to copy and paste this exactly over as is. So right above this, I'm going to come in here and paste it. And the only difference I'm going to make is when I return the cart data, I'm actually going to do myself a favor and just divide it by 100, because if you remember, it comes back in cents, and we would like to work with dollars. And then all I need to do is make this function where I'm calling it asynchronous, and I can add an async and await right here. All right, now we can keep continuing on in this update progress bar function. If there is no cart total, or cart total is 0, then what I would like to do, and we're already checking if there is a threshold. So this means that there is a threshold set, but there is nothing in the cart. I want to display some text. I want the progress text inner HTML to say, and I'm going to do backticks here so I can do some string interpolation. I'm going to say free shipping on orders over, and then I will throw in the threshold variable here that we have from the arguments. And then I'm also going to ensure that the progress bar dot style dot width is equal to 0%, because I don't want, the bar should be at 0 if there's nothing in the cart. This is just to make sure that's enforced. And then furthermore, I can return so that I don't manipulate it anywhere else in the logic I'm about to implement down here. Another use case that we have to check for is if the cart total is greater than the threshold. That would indicate that the free shipping threshold has been met. So we want to set the style and make sure the width is set to 100%, the progress bar that is. And we also want the text to display that information to the user. So we're going to say congratulations, and I'm going to do it again with backticks. Although I don't think that's completely necessary, but congratulations, you qualify for free shipping. Excellent. However, if this condition is not met, then we know that it has not been reached. So we can set the percentage to equal the cart total divided by the threshold times by 100 to get a clean percentage. And then we're going to set the width of the progress bar equal to, to that percentage. All right. And then lastly, we want to display some text to the user. And we will say only threshold minus cart total dot to fixed away from free shipping. Okay, now that ought to do it for the progress bar function. Excellent. Now, outside of the class, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to register our web component, free shipping progress bar, and pass in our class name, like so. Okay, so just to recap, what we have here is we have a whole lot of stuff going on in the constructor. We're defining the styles, and we are creating the divs here. And then we have our callback function, lifecycle method init, the connected callback rather, that's called, where we are calling the update progress bar the first time when this component is first run. And in that function where we are updating the progress bar, we are fetching the cart if it is the first time. Otherwise, we are just making sure that the bar displays the correct proximity to the threshold. And then other than that, we are creating an event listener that will listen for cart changes so that we can call that function we just talked about with the updated and current information. So the next thing we need to do is actually go into our free shipping countdown and create the event emitter. So I'm going to come over to the free shipping countdown file. I'm going to find the update free shipping countdown, where we already know from the previous video, this is where all the cart changes are being called here. And then I'm just going to create a custom event that we can then send the correct data over to. So I'm going to create this event, and I'm going to define detail, and it's going to pass an object, cart total, because you remember that's what we're looking for in the event listener. And I'm going to call cart total to fixed, so it's a nice round 2 decimal number. And then we're also going to pass the threshold, which actually, as I'm typing this, I don't think we actually need because we're getting it from the liquid file, but we have them both here regardless, so we can send them right through here. Okay. Now the last thing we need to do is actually reference the custom web component we created within the liquid. So if we go back to the announcement bar, free shipping progress bar, oops, and it auto-completes for us. All right, now if we save all, and if we go to the preview, I should be able to refresh. And I don't see the progress bar, which is not a good sign. So I'm going to check my debugger and see what possible issues there could be. So after a quick search, it looks like I am missing a closing bracket here. And I will refresh, and hopefully that's the only issue. And it also looks like I accidentally somehow let my organization get messed up. So this connected callback needs to be within the class. So I'm going to move it up here above my render method. And then I will make sure that we have the correct brackets. And hopefully so. Now I'm going to refresh again. Okay, after several mistakes fixing here, the main issue is that I forgot to dispatch this custom event, so the cart was not updating. And then there was some syntax errors in the web component. I apologize, you probably saw them as I was typing them, but I did not. So feel free to double check either your console errors, or you can also just go to the GitHub link and copy paste the code from there, and it will work as expected. So if I save and if I refresh and go to the theme preview now, we can see that this is successfully updating here as well as here. And when we hit free shipping, it lets us know here. It also lets us know here. And if we delete all the items, it displays we will get free shipping on orders over this much. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial creating a free shipping progress cart, a free shipping progress indicator. There's so many ways to customize this, improve this concept. This is kind of a bare bones example, but you could really make some cool UI and UX elements here. I would love to hear your ideas, your thoughts. So as always, subscribe, comment below, and let me know what you think. Till next time, thanks.